Yes,
Okay.
of course.
Wow.
So
Okay. That's rich. I wish I had that in high school.
Right,
I
right,
do too. I do too. But I am going to settle for teaching
right.
the foundation class of it. So
Okay.
while I didn't get to enjoy or partake while I was in high school, I do get to enjoy and partake now,
Right.
albeit virtually at first. So, of course, with many pilot programs, as I know that you know right now, numbers and getting the message out and getting people to kind of sign on
Yeah.
and believe in the vision is difficult and challenging at first. So
Right.
our we only have 5 students in the first class, but we've been running the AP seminar and AP research classes for 2 years now. So
Okay.
those are now required courses to take while in the humanities program. So we're slowly rolling it out and kind of convincing people to join on. And I can't wait to meet my students. I haven't really met them in person or virtually yet,
Uh-huh.
but they are high performing, excited, curious students that obviously are willing to kind of take on a heavier load of work and be asked to do higher level skills than maybe their peers are on a more consistent basis. So the curriculum and the structure of the course, I started creating with my supervisor and a social studies teacher in our school last year. And the philosophy of the course is I'm not really using traditional grading. We're really pivoting away from traditional grades and numerical values to kind of give the students a sense of worth and moving towards very specific verbal and written feedback and have that be the data that we use to monitor their growth throughout the year.
Ah,
Of course, at the administration, we still have to have grades and it's not a pass-fail course, but the way that we're going to have the students get to a numerical value of the work that they produce and the process in which they take throughout the course is going to be a collaborative self-assessment. So
I wondered about that. Yeah.
yeah, so it's very conference-based. We're talking a lot. It's just a lot of discussion and reflection, and it's part of my teaching philosophy, and it's something that's been welcomed and encouraged by my supervisor, which I couldn't be happier about. And as far as the content, the way that we've structured the foundations course is we start in the United States and we look at various exhibits. And those exhibits can range from the Statue of Liberty, it can be a poem from William Carlos Williams. It can be a primary document it can be the Constitution, it can be the Bill of Rights, it can be pretty much anything can be qualified as an exhibit, a sculpture. And we analyze first, we take a subjective approach. How do we feel about the sculpture? What do you notice? What are your thoughts? And then we take an objective approach. And the objective approach is guided by an acronym we've developed, Persia. And that acronym stands for a political lens, in which we analyze it from a political lens. Then the E stands for economics. So we analyze that exhibit from an economic standpoint. Then we take a religious standpoint. Then we take a social standpoint, an intellect standpoint, and then finally artifacts. And artifacts falls into the arts. So it can kind of be a broad range of things, but we're teaching the kids to look at a single thing from multiple perspectives and then analyze it using those lenses.
The question just about the intellect, because all of these things are part of the intellect, but this is about knowledge growing, knowledge development. Because I know that in both IB and AP, there is a focus on how knowledge is created. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, and I've created some resources that the students can use to kind of help them guide what each of those letters and acronyms or letters and lenses kind of encompass. And it's not a one size fit all, but as far as intellect, we look at philosophy, we look at education, we look at what and it also relates to the culture, right? So
Sure.
American intellect is very different from maybe the history and the richness of African intellect, right? So it depends on the country
Sure.
and the culture, but it's broad, definitely
Sure.
broad.
Sure. No, that's rich. Really, really, really rich. That's
Yeah.
great. Speaking of, Jack is an AP student, and he introduced us to several of his teachers who we interviewed for this project, and great insights. Jack, I bet you wish you could take Kate's class.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. I love the idea of the feedback idea instead of grading. I think that'll give the kids a lot more motivation to grow as students. How is your class different from English language and composition? Because I took that in high school, I was just wondering, what are the key differences? I know you talked about like cultures and stuff. Is it because I know we looked at different things and then we analyzed things like you're speaking of. How is it different?
So that's a great question. And after we start with American culture, we obviously go around the world, and that doesn't necessarily differ from a diverse content of an AP class, but we're to root skills that's going to prepare them for the higher level AP classes. Uh, that they'll have to take later on, and that's analysis first. The first half of the year, we're focusing on analysis, and the second half is synthesis. And we all know that that's a tough skill, and it's a tough skill for ninth graders to kind of grapple with. And so that's why the final unit is a culmination of everything that we've learned, the lenses, analysis, synthesis, and the students choose whatever country they want to go to create a case study and to choose exhibits that they discover, and then show me that they've understood how to analyze those exhibits independently from a subjective standpoint, an objective standpoint, and then to also analyze it from all the lenses, and then synthesize all the exhibits, take a step away, and what do they conclude? What do they see? What are their takeaways? And how to present that in a way that is clear and organized and structured in a way that shows growth and shows understanding and shows work, right? So I'm not sure if that answers your question as far as how it differs, but
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit more hopefully student-led, because oftentimes AP classes are heavily focused on testing and assessments and getting that output grade. This class, hopefully, it's not really focused on that. It's more about growth and helping the students discover what interests them and what they're passionate about, and maybe what career path they'd like to focus on in the future outside of high school.
Yeah, great. I only think about the students who are not in AP classes and how they would come to life if they had this. And so, how are students integrated, and do the students have an opportunity to present to their fellow students, or for instance, as I've done in the past, that they present a film festival or present something for their students, fellow students? Is there something crossing like that?
That is such a phenomenal idea, and I am not opposed or against implementing that. And as I'm sure you all know, my plans are constantly changing depending on what is rolled out. So I am not opposed to that. And I do teach a college prep ninth grade class, and many of the same philosophies that I've been kind of given the liberty to really run with in this humanities course. I have some more limitations that don't allow me to embrace it entirely, but I find ways. I find ways around it. We are heavily on reflecting on identity, whether that be our own or others. It's a lot of collaboration to self-reflect and come to an understanding of where the student is, where they need to go, and how to get there. So I do try and cross over at least the philosophies, but as far as individualized interaction between cross crossing over different classes. I don't know about a specific plan right now, but I am definitely going to take that idea and run with it, because I think that's a great idea. And there's no reason why the freshman students in this foundations course can't interact or get feedback from the older students that are taking the AP classes that they're going to be required to take also later in their high school careers.
You have Avid.
Go ahead, Dee Dee.
Do you have Avid at your school?
Abbott?
Yeah,
AVID, go ahead.
Yeah, Avid. Yeah, it's for underrepresented students. So therefore, your Latino, your African American students, or anyone who maybe is the first in their family to go to college, graduate from high school, etc. But they're recognized as having some sort of potential. They're identified in their middle school as being like the top of that group, and so therefore the Avid course is a support course, but they put the kids in regular classes, to introduce them to college preparedness, so it's a really good program. So I don't know, but it's definitely big in California. It started in San Diego, but I don't know if your school has it or not.
We definitely don't, and I love the district and the school that I work for. We have growth to do, and it has started last year, and I have been a strong advocate of even de-leveling, because I've seen the systemic issues with the way that we level our students and the taboos associated with that, and how students internalize that. The kids are not dumb. They notice these things, and it affects the way that they perform in the classes.
Sure.
And so I think a program like this would be spectacular and phenomenal. The district that I'm in will push back against things like this. And so it has been a struggle finding ways to allow for the students to really explore who they are and and some other identities that differ from their own, or other experiences or other cultures that differ from their own. But it's the long haul fight, and we do it by diversifying the content, by giving a lot of student choice, by having a broad range of authors and stories to read and analyze and see themselves, but also see others. And I think this program sounds phenomenal, and I'm actually going to bring it to my supervisor after our conversation. I'm going to kind of debrief with her, but this sounds like something we absolutely need. And we have Teachers for Tomorrow, which is a program geared towards preparing students for a possible career in education. And the requirements set forth by that course curriculum, it excludes a lot of students, like you said, that are so bright and just aren't considered the normal student because of some test score or some performance, or maybe they're not engaged, or maybe they're not passionate or interested in the content that they're being
so far.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I've talked to my supervisor about eliminating that requirement, and to specifically reach out to our students of color, because that's a huge problem in our district. We have no teachers or staff of color until this year in our district. And students notice that. And students that don't see themselves reflected in the positions of power and authority, and in positions of teachers that are teaching them, it's how are you supposed to perform? How are you supposed to want to do well?
Right,
you know?
right.
I'm preaching to the choir.
Right.
Yeah.
So that I asked that for two reasons. General presentation. Does the school still have the General Assembly format? And if so, are members of the Board of Education invited? And it just I mean, and that kind of reaching out, and what kind of relationship, if any, do you have with your governor yet? And
you're asking at a very complicated time. And our district right now is very polarized. Our district is very anti-teacher right now, including our
Wow.
superintendent. He's just rolled out 2 plans and released those plans in an article to the community before he let the staff know in a variety of different ways. So it's, and we've experienced overhauls in the last 2 years as far as administration. So there's really no loyalty there. There's no trust there. And
Wow, it's always
it's
the problem.
contentious. I'll be honest. It is contentious and it is scary. And the way that, you know, I know that you guys know, and I know I'm preaching to the choir right now, but the way we get through it is we focus on our jobs and we focus on our students and we focus on the love and the potential and the growth that we can offer those students. And that's kind of what gives me hope and purpose. And I'm trying not to think about the political aspects of what our district and our administration is doing or attempting to do. But right now, General Assembly is very tough with virtual. We essentially have split to a virtual meeting for teachers and staff and a virtual meeting for students and parents, and never the two shall meet. And that lack of a space to have a productive discourse about really important issues and programs and problems and solutions is problematic. And our position with the governor is our school right now is we are a very wealthy, fortunate, privileged district in some respects. And in other respects, it is very, very challenging to do our jobs and be supported by the district and the administration, which is why I don't know how the reaction to this program on an entire school-wide basis would be taken. And that's...
I think, first of all, the fact that you have it, and I think it's fantastic. I mean, I think you're talking about freshmen and you're getting them ready with all the analysis, you know, and actually the Persia lends itself to essay writing, right? It, to historical writing and all kinds of things. So therefore, I think we start from there, you know, obviously, you know, and you grow it from there. But I think just the fact that you've got that is huge, absolutely huge. That you have that kind of a course available. I mean, that's hard to do, to get it off the ground there. So I applaud you. I think that's fantastic that you're able to do it. So
I also wonder about project-based learning within that class. So you say they will be able to have an opportunity to pull things together. It sounds like the project constructs is somewhat defined. And so it's a research and presentation format. Is that correct? Or is there a room for project?
There is absolutely room for project. And I am a strong believer in listening to the feedback from my students, because they know firsthand what they can do and what they're interested in doing, and maybe what is working and what's not working from my end. So if for right now, the case study that they are going to do at the end of the year that culminates everything that they've learned, I'm not opposed to them offering and suggesting different ways to present that information with a real world audience, or in a project-based setting that has real world consequences or effects. I would love that. So if any of you have any ideas, I'm all ears.
Oh, sure. I mean, I've taught design thinking in schools as well as to teachers, and so yeah, we can talk about that further. And if it go ahead, Dee.
My whole teaching experience has been project-based learning the whole time, all of it. You know, so I have a zillion ideas. I have a zillion kinds of high school projects and stuff. You know, there are a lot of them out there. A lot of things we could do. There's no doubt about it. Even with films. I mean, there's a lot of follow-up that we could do if we wanted to develop that. It's definitely.
And that is part of the curricular package that we would offer too, is support with project-based learning, or with ideas of taking the learning from the films further. And of course, that is part of that is bringing the filmmaker in when we can, when the filmmaker is available. And yes, so that might also answer the way that films can get, or films and this kind of learning can get to the other students through, for instance, a film festival for their peers. Good. So if it's happening through you, and it one of the issues I know that many schools have is with showing films, especially on the 7th and 8th grade level, and maybe not in high school, is having to get a written allowance from the permission from the from their parents. Is that taken care of through your class? I mean, when you have 5, tell us about that.
So I show a lot of, I take a multimodal approach to teaching. So I include graphic novels, I include poetry, art, music, films included, and I do teach a senior film class. So the nice thing about the senior film class is that many of them are 18 years old, so I don't really have to go through that permission slip route. For the freshman classes that I teach, many of the films that I teach are PG or PG-13, so that's okay, and I can usually avoid the permission slip. I would have to get permission for any rating above a PG-13, but with 5 students in the Foundations of Humanities course, that would be an easy feat, you know, that I have no problem reaching out to the parents, or I trust that the kids would not forge their parents' signatures.
Well, for good reason, right? Sorry, we don't condone that.
Well, I think that we do curate with high schoolers in mind, and so many of the international films are not rated like they are in the U.S. So therefore, we're sensitive to that, you know, to who we're curating for. So definitely, we're careful, you know, with that.
Yeah, and that grade level range from 6 to 9, or I mean 9 is the top end of it. So if it's appropriate for a 6th grader, I have no doubt that it would be okay with the 9th graders.
Okay, good. We are aiming towards 7th to 12th grade with, so
that would be amazing. Especially, I'd love to even include this in the future with my film class. What a wonderful way to interact and discuss film.
Well, and I'm sure you think about film production too, and that's another question, and we can work with that. Okay, so 5 students. Are there other languages spoken in the class?
You know, I can't say for certain because I haven't actually met the students yet. It's possible, but I don't know. I can't speak for certain. Sorry.
That's all right. We don't. Good.
I know that it's required that they take a language. So if anything, they would have some basic knowledge of another language of some sort.
Okay, that's good. And I can imagine that once you start this, your language teachers might also want to participate. That takes us to the fee. We mentioned this all school fee, and so for this initial school year, it will likely be just you, and you're welcome to share it in your classroom with other teachers. Is $250 for the entire year a manageable fee for you?
I think that's manageable. I think that's doable. I think that's fair and absolutely worth the experience that the students will get.
Okay, that's great. Super. And another thought was, would you be willing to allow us to reach out to the other Sparta high schools in the United States and say that Sparta, New Jersey has joined us? Would you like to join us, especially for the pilot on the 17th of September?
I would absolutely be okay with that, but I also don't want to be the spokesperson for Sparta High School right now without asking permission.
Sure, sure,
I
sure.
don't want to be the face of that, but I'll run it by my supervisor. I have no doubt that she'll say absolutely, and I will send you an email with the A-OK once
Oh,
she gets that.
good, 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 good. Because I think there's one in Wisconsin and one in Missouri, different sizes, and then there's a tiny one in Mississippi. And I think it would be a wonderful range and that connection between the students already. And I wish there were more of that kind of connection. It's just a natural, simple connection, but I can imagine there's a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we can connect you to Sparta, Greece, then that would be really great.
I would love that. I would love that. That'd be awesome.
That's what we aim for. Okay, good. Jack and Dee Dee, any other questions?
No, I think
Kate,
it's exciting.
I'm just curious, what is the film class you teach? What is it called?
It's called Film as Literature, and we essentially analyze film as if it were a piece of literature or a piece of art, which it is, but for administration purposes, people need to have it framed in this literary language in order to sign on to it. And we look at it from, we look at mise en scène, we look at directing, we look at acting, we look at costume design. So we just analyze film from all of those different perspectives, and their big research project has to do with the Oscars and the Academy Awards, and they go through any year they want from the start. They choose any category they want. They watch every film in that category. They analyze each film and write a review, and then they write a big research paper on who should have won that category for that year and justify it. And they have to research that topic, and it allows for a lot of student choice, and it kind of allows for a focus that the students can choose whatever interest or passion they have for whatever specific angle they choose to take.
That's great.
Wow, yeah,
You
that's
really ought to
awesome.
reach out to the Academy for that, and they can perhaps ask an Academy member who might actually live in the area.
That is actually a phenomenal idea, and I had never thought about that. I had one of the first projects that we're going to do is have the students reach out to somebody connected to one of their favorite films, just to, like, the production company, and just express their love for it, why they love it so much, and kind of subtly hint at, hey, you got any extra supplies you want to send us? We welcome it. Yeah.
Well, and humanizing, demystifying these things that seem so inaccessible. And that is where we're interested in using film as a playground leveler, leveling the playing field. And anytime you have the opportunity to sort of burst that bubble of inaccessibility, do it.
Absolutely. And even just a real world audience to write to,
Right.
I am not the audience that really brings out the best work from them, unfortunately. I've accepted.
Well, there you are. Just to give you an example of a sixth grade class that presented a film festival for their seventh and eighth grade schoolmates. They wrote the directors and the distributors and asked them to use their films in a film festival. So they did my job as a curator, and they absolutely rose to the occasion. Choosing was an excellent. We did, of course, vote and do it that way, but they selected the films and presented, and this was an enormous reward for them, and we presented it. So I give you that suggestion to do, and the filmmakers were really responsive, and especially to get these handwritten letters from students. So
wonderful, and I absolutely will apply that. I mean, and you know what, I am part of the problem. I do see it as this kind of mystical, unattainable industry that we're on the outskirts of looking in, but you're absolutely right. Why not write somebody who's within that to even establish a communication with somebody who knows firsthand.
Yep, yep, yep. Make it possible. And I think that is the thing that's going on, that caste system, class system that's happening in our nation today, and break it down whatever we can, however we can. That's a nice reflection, Kate. I mean, of course, we all had that before we entered that interest. Let's see. I just want to make sure that you did take a look at the guide. I can share that. I have that with us right now. Let's see. There it is. I will share that screen and check the time. This is so, as noted in the guide, our first hour of gaining empathy and getting to know you and understand your program. Let's see, here is, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So it's in German too, because initially we were going to do a pilot in Germany. I'm wondering, we're looking at this is the pain point, and I'm wondering how you would agree with this, that multilingual and empathetic curious learners are cornerstone of healthy societies. Does your curriculum teaches to that? I'm wondering if your high school teaches to the need for their students to enter an increasingly global world.
I would say that it's subject matter by subject matter. I would say that the English department absolutely adopts this in their curriculum and the way that they approach teaching. It's not holistic. It's not the entirety of the school, but we are all working towards that, right? And the way you teach other teachers to adopt this is by using it when engaging in productive discussions about it, right? And so it's something we're trying, and I think that in my English department, we really do adopt this mentality. I think that there is room to grow in some specific teachers' classrooms.
Okay, good. You're welcome to use this and show it as you like. Okay.
I absolutely will. Yeah.
Good.
Especially, like you said, the language department would absolutely love this, and I know that they would just sign on, hook, line, and sinker. And I will absolutely be passing this along, because even if I get one other teacher to kind of adopt this and participate, that's one more, right?
That's great. That's great. And as we build, you can take a look at this. We've talked about the benefits. There is theory behind it, and it is expansive. And I wonder if you think, like Ulla Jensen, that children are naturally curious about other children around the world. Your students and your experience with them last year, did you find that they were looking over borders or talking about what was going on in the world? Are those conditions already existent in the school?
I think that under the right environment, yes, this is absolutely true. And the struggle is when a singular image of what the world or society is has been presented from somewhere else. And our job is to break down that and open the window and open the doors and say, nope, this is what the world looks like. It's very different. It's very diverse. People are, different, but that's part of the lovable quality and interesting aspect of being a human in this world, on this planet, with all of the differences. And part of not only identifying those differences from one person to the next, but also identifying the similarities between one person and the next. And just even that simple metaphor of, literature or film or art is a window and a mirror. I use that because it's simple and kids understand it. And I think that leads into the curiosity. It's just opening a window or a door to see somebody else. You're not going to close that door unless somebody's been telling you to close it,
Right. And this is what we say, that films will give you an opportunity to be discerning and to hone the mechanism that tells you, I know better because I have other knowledge. And I know that news isn't exactly correct. Okay, let us just go to some nuts and bolts about timing. When is it that you would like to start? Well, we invite you, first of all, to the 17th of September, and that is sort of the start for everyone. And let's see, so our timing, we would start with 6 weeks initially, and then, so 16th, 6 weeks from the 17th of September, and we're suggesting at least twice a month. How often do you think you would use a film in your class?
I think twice a month, if not maybe once or twice more, like 2 to 4 times a month is totally doable.
Okay.
And our program or our hybrid model for teaching and our schedule is A and B cohorts. So we do an AM and a PM day. So on the 17th, I wouldn't actually meet with the class. So I would either start a day early or a day late, depending on what works for you guys and what is manageable or doable.
So the 17th, you would not meet with the class, so you could not join us for our pilot. Rats.
I know. But it is not out of the realm of possibility that I run by, and these are honor students and there are only 5, so I could definitely ask that they maybe attend during academic hours, which is after it's 1:40 to 2:30, I believe, are their academic hours. I'm not sure if there's a set time that the pilot's being rolled out, or if they can kind of attend when they're able to, but we can figure out a way around not meeting them in person that day.
Okay, that would be helpful. We could pass it on to them, but they would be in another class, say 9:30 Pacific. It'd be 12:30, so it's an hour early, 12:30 to 1:30 in their classes. In that 1:40 to 2:30 window, they'd be an hour later.
Yeah,
Okay.
they might be in an academic class at that time, which is problematic, but
yeah. Okay, and then there could be there's a 5:30 we're looking at to capture an Asian audience, and so that would be 8:30 their time, and they could find out, choose on their own, and if they wanted to go.
Yeah, we could offer that option, and I am optimistic about their curiosity and desire to be engaged.
Okay, that's good. So you could certainly mention that to them. That's great. Okay, good. So the
Sorry, I have a rooster.
oh, that's good. It's telling you it's time for something. It's time to talk about time. So generally, 6 weeks out, and then we will be in touch the week before to make sure that everything is up and running, and we could even do a quick run through then. The day before we would check in also, and then 1 hour before the event starts, we would be available for you. And right now, of course, in this first foray, we are manual. And so you'll see myself, Dee Dee, or Jack there as moderator. And we also have the learning goals, and I believe I mentioned the learning goals that we look at, but we would work with you and you would have your learning goals. Our learning goals are very simple. We want to ensure that the participants know where the film is from, that they can tell us a couple of things about the scene that they saw with expression about the scenes, and a couple of words from the language that they just heard. Maybe they made some connection with the subtitles and the language heard, we hope. Then the discernment piece is telling us what is, or the empathy piece actually is telling us what is similar and what is different in their lives. And then the discernment piece is what did they like, what did they not like, and why. So these are pretty simple, and those are a basic curricular element, and we can build on top of that. And certainly engage, you could take over the conversation, and what we hope also is that the students take over the conversation.
Always, yeah. I'm a big proponent of a Harkness discussion method. So student-led discussions is the way to go, for sure.
Good, good. So really these points are prompts for discussion. Yeah. Okay.
When does
oh, so sorry.
Go ahead, Jack.
Go ahead.
When does class start for you?
So we go in for professional development next week on the 1st through the 4th, and then students come in that following Tuesday, or students attend virtually that following Tuesday, and we as teachers are going in physically to learning.
Okay. That would be so the 1st to the 4th. Good. And you're starting during the day. At what time does your first period when you might use Screen 360?
The first potential time that actually it would be the same because it's not rotating. So they are my 4th period class. Let me just double check. I'm still learning my schedule. I only got it 2 days ago.
Oh, sure.
Let's see. Let me just make sure. Yeah, period 4. So it would be 12. Oh my goodness. It would be 12:30 to 1:40 on day A's. Unfortunately, that doesn't work on the 17th because that's a day B. But yeah. So 12:30 to 1:40 is essentially the only time in which I would be virtually with them.
Okay, that's really good for us.
And how many times a week do you meet with them?
It is either 2 or 3 times because it rotates A and B day.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Oh, that must be hard to get a rhythm. Go ahead, Dee Dee, sorry.
Right. Is it a block schedule? Is it 75, 90 minutes, or is it?
It's an hour and 5 minutes.
Okay, 75. No, 65. Okay. That's not much time. My goodness.
It's actually a huge improvement from what we had before, which was 42 minutes.
Yeah, I've watched that.
Wow.
That's foie gras education. That's what I call it.
Yeah. yeah. I got to pick my battles. Yeah.
I'm glad that you have that much time and a whole hour to absorb. Yeah.
It's a week. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And equipment, you have, what would you use the laptop? Well, of course, here we are. We're not using projectors, we're using the laptop. So that, actually, I have to modify this guide.
The students do have, each of them have their own Chromebook. So they would be able to access Wi-Fi from home, because even if they don't have access to it, we as a district do provide them with hotspots for the students that come from low-income families. So that's really wonderful, and they will have a laptop. Now, if it's charged or plugged in, yeah. be days where they're not necessarily prepared, but I have high hopes for the foundations because they chose to be there,
Yeah, it's a whole nother thing, isn't it?
So
Okay.
they could definitely join from home, Screen 360 from home.
Yeah, they
Just get
could.
on Zoom. Yeah.
On
Now,
this.
the Zoom requirement, I'm going to have to ask my supervisor about because our district doesn't use Zoom, and I don't know
Okay.
a deliberate choice with a purpose and a reasoning behind it, or if it's just a loyalty and requirements with Google or a payout or something. But let me double check on that, and whether, is there another way that they would be able to join, or is it Zoom only?
Well, we're Zoom only at the moment. What's the platform you're using?
Google Meet.
Google. Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
ask about it. It's,
I
you
mean,
know,
it's possible that we could. That's an interesting thought, Jack and Dee Dee, to vary. I mean,
Mhm.
it's gymnastic for us, but we could learn possibly
Yeah,
to work
because
within that.
a lot of schools use WebEx. They don't use Zoom. So that's another thought too. You know,
Hmm.
it's like we're going to run into that. Yep.
Just get used to it, and that also makes us, yeah, makes us more flexible, more usable. That's interesting.
Mm.
That's good. That makes us more like a dance company or a garage band. I like that. Okay, okay. Um, and of course, your students are readers, so we don't have to worry really about subtitles. Subtitles are welcome. That's good. Um, wow. Okay. I think we are ready to generate. Would you? What would you imagine is the first day that you would like to start? I mean, we don't need to do the 6 week necessarily. Um,
So would it have to come after the rollout date, September 17th, or could it go before, or?
Jack, you're shaking your head. I think we're preparing for the 17th, and that's taking a lot. I think it would be great if it were after the 17th. Although you're starting on the 4th, up until the 17th, we're still giving the 9 o'clock, 10:30, and 5:30 p.m. Shows PST, so we could gear that. So we could certainly do a 9:30 show for. So I know why Jack was nodding his head. That's,
Yeah, I think that preparing the students with the Persia acronym and the structure of the course, and also introducing this entire concept to them, I think that starting maybe the Friday the 18th, or that following Tuesday on the 22nd, would be really wonderful and give them a time to process, understand, and get comfortable with not only the language that we use in the class, but also maybe give them kind of a heads up and let them prepare with how to watch a film and how to kind of use language to analyze it in the way that we've been practicing with literature and primary documents and things like that. So the 18th, Friday the 18th, and what a fun Friday thing to do, but also the Tuesday the 22nd would be a good start date for us.
I think the 22nd would be great, only because we have a grant due on the 18th.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know how
Gotta
that
do
is.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
So I like the 22nd. That's good. Okay. Okay. Good. Then that's all the German. There we are. That's our folks. And okay, I'm going to stop the share now. There we are. We're back. And it's 9. And we need to start the show. If there's any questions, any further questions, Kate?
No, you've answered so many questions that I had. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. Thanks for being so forgiving and understanding of my technological inadequacies. But
Well, fun.
It happens now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is wonderful, and just let me know how I should get the payment to you, whether it be check or I can pay online or I have Venmo. You just let me know, and we'll take care of that. And I can't wait. And this is a bright light and something really exciting in a time that we desperately need it. So thank you
Good.
so much for doing this, and thank you for supporting my students. And I can't wait to get this started.
This is great, and we thank you. And we maybe on the second one, after you get your footing a little bit better, invite your superintendent.
Yes, that's a
Right?
great idea. I
We're
absolutely will do that.
good. Jack, Dee Dee?
No, we'd look forward to working with you. Really, we're here for you. If you have any questions, any needs, we're here.
Right. So,
Yeah.
Kate, I'll follow up with an email with the nuts and bolts, and arrive at the next time that we connect before the 18th.
Wonderful.
It was great meeting you, Kate. I'm excited.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nice meeting you all. I can't wait to meet you again, see you again, and work with you in the future. Thank
Good.
you
We're
so
looking
much.
forward to it.
Thank you.
Good. And
Bye-bye.
get back to us about the other Sparta high schools.
Yes, I will. I will send that email right when we get off.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, guys, I'm going to start the 9 o'clock Screen 360. Dee Dee, you and I, can we get together at 9:30 and go
Well,
over the...
Yeah, we can. Definitely we can, Katie. If you want to do it now, I can do it later in the day, whatever's easier for you.
I've got to start a show now, so I've got a between 9:30 to 10:30 hour.
That works for you?
Okay.
Sure.
So I'll come back on.
Okay, sounds good.
See
Okay,
you
sounds
later.
good. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.